I'm Jenny Wood, and welcome to Woodland Permaculture. And also, welcome to my first compost pile. Well, this is my first compost pile in my new permaculture garden. I have done composting before, but I've learned a lot since I've been studying permaculture. And today, what I'm going to do is turn my compost pile and add some new materials to it so that it can be bigger, hopefully work a little faster, and just make more compost. So what I've learned, the basics of composting, is you want to add a mixture of food scraps and greens along with a mixture of browns, so which are dry leaves, wood chips, anything natural that's brown, basically. So the browns contribute carbon, and the greens and the food scraps and such contribute nitrogen. And together, when you put them in the compost pile in the right ratios, then it heats up and it composts everything really nicely and eventually becomes beautiful black compost. I started this compost pile a couple of weeks ago, and I've turned it every 2 to 3 days since then, which is what you're supposed to do. When you turn it, you aerate it, get more air in there, and then you also water it so that the water gets down in there. And all of that together creates, hopefully, a combination where it heats up and composts things. It's not really big enough to heat that up, though. It's supposed to be like 4 feet high. I'm like 5 feet high, so it should be like this high, somewhere in there. And it's not anywhere near big enough. So I'm hoping today with the stuff that I'm adding that it'll at least be closer to 4 feet and hopefully heat up a little bit more. So here we go. I have my handy dandy pitchfork and all of my amendments, and let's get to turning. Even after a couple of weeks, I noticed that things are already starting to break down. I've got some little tiny bugs in there flying around, and things are starting to turn black and starting to decompose a little bit. So I think, even though it's not as good as it could be, it is starting to work. So, as you're turning it, I've read and heard that you should be putting the things that are on the outside of the pile into the middle and letting the things in the middle go to the outside. And now that I'm kind of halfway in between, I'm going to start adding some of my other amendments as well. Paper towels can go in there, lettuce, any food scraps, any nice vegetable scraps you have in your kitchen. Oh, here we go. And eggshells. Eggshells are great. It's good to crumble those up small so that they decompose a little faster because they take longer than other things. Oh, look at that. I've got nachos in there, leftovers from dinner out. That can all go in there. And some of my browns. These are greens that I got out of my daughter's yard yesterday when we mowed the lawn and did some weeding. Good greens that can go on there. I think I've done about as much damage as I can do with this. I think I have a little too much green nitrogen in there. So I think I'm going to go out at some point and gather some more leaves, some more dead leaves. Thankfully, I know of a place that hopefully has some leaves. They kind of drop all year round. So that's it for today. I will update you on my compost pile, see how it's doing maybe in a couple of weeks. Thanks so much for joining. All right, first mistake of the day. I forgot to water my compost pile, so I'm going to do that next. But first, I realized there's another kind of brown or carbon that I can add, and that's cardboard. I don't want to add a lot because I'm still not real good at this, but I've heard that cardboard can be composted in with your compost pile, so I'm going to add it as a brown, just a little bit to kind of balance it out. And then I'm going to water, and then that'll be it for the day. So you might have noticed that I broke it up into little pieces to make compost a little faster and a little easier. And then I also kind of shoved it in there. I didn't just throw it on top. That was just me thinking I didn't want it to all blow away the next time the wind picks up. And also I figured it would probably compost better if it was kind of inside there a little bit. So just going to water it down for a minute or so, make sure there's water, and now there's air in there. And all of those things together really help to heat up the compost pile. It's not quite 4 feet. It's not much bigger than it was, I don't think. I think because a lot of it has to make a bigger base. So I still need some more stuff to be able to make a much better compost pile. But for now, I think it'll do, and we'll see how it does in a couple of weeks. Thanks for joining me. Bye.